Hello and a very warm welcome to Grow English Mastery. My name is Scarlett, and I am speaking to you today on a truly historic and momentous day. Today is Friday, July 4th, 2025. For our viewers in the United States, it is Independence Day, a day of celebration, fireworks, and reflection on the nation's history. But today, as the country celebrates its birth, a new, deeply consequential, and deeply divisive chapter in that history is being written. After a political battle that has pushed the American government to its absolute limits, after weeks of public feuds between titans of industry and politics, after days of non-stop marathon debates that went late into the night, it is official. The One Big Beautiful Bill, as President Donald Trump has named it, has passed both houses of the U.S. Congress. In just a few hours from now, at 5 o'clock this afternoon, Washington, D.C., time, the president is scheduled to take a pen and sign this historic, controversial, $4.5 trillion bill into law, likely during the White House's annual Independence Day picnic. The debate, for now, is over. The votes have been counted. The question is no longer if this will happen, but what happens now? To understand the significance of this moment, we can't just look at the last few days. We have to look back at the weeks of political firestorms, personal insults, billion-dollar threats, and high-stakes power plays that all led to this single piece of legislation. Today, we're not just telling you the news. We are telling you the whole, incredible story. We will go inside this massive new law to understand what has just happened and what it truly means for the future. Our learning goals for today are as ambitious as the bill itself. First, we will understand the complete story of this legislation, including the epic political feud it created. Second, we will learn and explore 10 essential vocabulary words used to discuss laws, politics, and the economy. Third, we will master 2 key grammar points that are perfect for analyzing any major event: the difference between the simple past and the present perfect, and how to use be going to for evidence-based predictions. And finally, you'll get some practical tips on how to apply these skills. This is your front row seat to history as it happens. Let's get started. Let's begin our story with the bill itself. Act 1. The bill. What is the One Big Beautiful Bill? In simple terms, it is a massive legislative package. A legislative package is a combination of many different proposals for new laws, all bundled together into one single bill to be voted on at the same time. This particular bill, proposed by President Trump, aims to fundamentally reshape the American economy. Its 2 main pillars are major tax cuts and a significant increase in new government spending, with a total estimated cost of a staggering $4.5 trillion. Let's look at the arguments for the bill, the pros. Supporters, its proponents, see it as a powerful tool for economic growth. The theory behind the tax cuts, often called supply-side economics, is that if you give more money to corporations and wealthy individuals, they will invest that money to expand their businesses, build new factories, hire more workers, and raise wages. This increased activity, they argue, creates a stronger economy that benefits everyone in the long run. The new government spending in the bill is aimed at supporting specific American industries, like manufacturing and defense, to make the country more competitive and less reliant on other nations. For its supporters, this bill is a bold and necessary plan to unleash America's economic potential. However, the opposition to this bill has been fierce. Let's look at the cons. Critics from many sides have warned of disastrous consequences. Their primary concern is the national debt. Let's use an analogy. Imagine the national debt is like a credit card balance for the entire country. Every year, the government has a budget deficit, meaning it spends more than it collects in taxes. It's like adding more money to that credit card balance. The interest on that debt becomes a huge expense in itself. Critics argue that because this bill cuts taxes, the government's income, while also increasing spending, it will cause the deficit to explode, adding trillions to the national debt and creating a huge financial burden for future generations. Furthermore, opponents worry about the bill's social impact. To pay for everything, they fear the bill will make deep cuts to healthcare programs and Social Security, which could harm millions of ordinary, vulnerable Americans. This fundamental disagreement set the stage for our next act. Act 2. The Political Firestorm. The Trump versus Musk saga. The first, and most powerful, public opposition to this bill did not come from another politician. It came from billionaire Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, and, ironically, a former ally and major donor to the president. This bill sparked an all-out war between the two men. It began when Musk used his social media platform, X, to call the bill insane and destructive. He claimed it would destroy millions of jobs and harm future industries. Most powerfully, he called the bill political suicide for the president's Republican Party. President Trump, who does not take criticism lightly, retaliated immediately. He claimed Musk was only angry because the bill cut subsidies for electric vehicles, which helps Tesla, and because Trump had rejected Musk's choice for the head of NASA. Then, the president issued a direct threat to Musk's business empire, suggesting he would cut the billions of dollars in federal contracts that SpaceX and Tesla rely on. The feud then took a bizarre and deeply ironic turn. The president suggested that a government efficiency board, known as DOGE, should investigate and cut Musk's funding. The ultimate irony? DOGE was an organization that Elon Musk himself had helped create to find and eliminate wasteful government spending. Trump was proposing to use Musk's own weapon against him. He even called DOGE a monster that could swallow its creator. As the debate raged, Musk escalated his own position. frustrated with both political parties, he announced he would form a new America Party to challenge the system and vowed to fund opponents of any politician who voted for the bill. This led to the final, shocking escalation. On the morning of July honest, just a few days ago, President Trump was asked by reporters about his former ally. In response, he publicly threatened to look into deporting Elon Musk, a naturalized American citizen. This extreme threat, to expel a citizen from the country for political criticism, showed just how personal and bitter this feud had become. This dramatic backstory, this war between two titans, was the explosive context for the final act of our story. Act 3. The final battle in Congress. With the July 4th deadline looming, the bill arrived in the Senate for a vote. The tension was at its peak. After a marathon session of debate, the vote was held on July honest. The result: 50 senators voted yes, and 50 senators voted no. A perfect tie. As the U.S. Constitution dictates, Vice President J.D. Vance was called in to cast the tie-breaking vote. He voted yes, and the bill passed by the narrowest possible margin, 51-50. The bill then moved to the House of Representatives. Republican leaders knew they had a very thin majority and could not lose more than a few votes. The opposition was completely unified against the bill. The leaders negotiated through the night, with President Trump personally calling skeptical members of his own party to lobby for their support. Finally, on July 3rd, the House voted. The result was another victory on a knife's edge. 218 in favor, 214 against. And that brings us to today. Act 4. A nation divided. The bill has passed, and the reactions have been, as you can imagine, completely opposite. The Republican Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, celebrated the victory, declaring that the bill will make this country stronger, safer, and more prosperous than ever before. But the Democratic leader, Hakeem Jeffries, delivered a historic, record-breaking speech of 8 hours and 44 minutes in a final, desperate attempt to stop it. After the vote, he called the bill a crime scene targeted against the health, the safety, and the well-being of the American people. These two statements perfectly capture the deep division in America today. And in just a few hours, President Trump will sign this bill into law, creating a new reality for the nation on its Independence Day. Now, to help us understand the language of this incredible story, let's learn some key vocabulary. Here are 10 essential terms. Our first word, pass. Pass is spelled P-A-S. In politics, to pass a law means to formally approve it by voting. For example, the Senate voted to pass the bill on July honest. Another example, a bill must be passed by both the House and the Senate before the President can sign it. The opposite action is to defeat or reject a bill. Our second word, vote. Vote is spelled VOTE. A vote is a formal choice you make to decide something. For example, the final vote in the House was 218 to 214. Another example, casting a vote is an important civic duty. As a verb, we can say, I will vote in the next election. Our third word, provision. Provision is spelled PROVISION. A provision is a specific condition or statement within a legal document or law. For example, a key provision of the bill is the new spending on national defense. Another example, one provision in the contract was very confusing. A good synonym is clause or term. Our fourth word, legislation. Legislation is spelled LEGISLATION. Legislation is a law or a set of laws that have been passed. For example, this is the most controversial piece of legislation this year. Another example, the government is planning new environmental legislation. This word is more formal than law or bill. Our fifth term, tiebreaker. Tiebreaker is spelled TIEBREAKER. A tiebreaker is an extra vote or action used to decide a winner when there is a tie. For example, the vice president's vote was the tiebreaker that passed the bill in the Senate. Another example, they needed a tiebreaker question to decide the winner of the quiz show. Our sixth word, lobby. Lobby is spelled LOBY. To lobby is to try to persuade a politician or official group to do something. For example, the president had to lobby members of his own party to get their support. Another example, many groups lobby the government to protect their interests. A person who does this is called a lobbyist. Our seventh word, bipartisan. Bipartisan is spelled BIPARTISAN. Bipartisan means supported by the two main political parties. For example, the vote was not bipartisan. The parties were completely opposed. Another example, it is difficult to find a bipartisan solution to such a controversial issue. The prefix B means two. Our eighth word, symbolism. Symbolism is spelled SYMBOLISM. Symbolism is the use of symbols to represent ideas. For example, the choice to sign the bill on July 4th is full of political symbolism. Another example, the dove is a classic symbol of peace. Our ninth word, proponent. Proponent is spelled PROPONENT. A proponent is a person who publicly supports an idea or plan. For example, proponents say the bill will create jobs. A good synonym is supporter or advocate. And our 10th word, opponent. Opponent is spelled OPPONENT. An opponent is a person who disagrees with something and speaks out against it. For example, opponents worry the law will increase the national debt. A good synonym is critic or adversary. Now that we have the vocabulary, let's look at the grammar we need to tell this story accurately. Our first grammar point today is a crucial one for talking about news: the difference between the simple past and the present perfect. We use the simple past to describe actions that happened and finished at a specific time in the past. Look for time markers like yesterday, on July honest, or last week. Example from our story: the Senate voted on the bill on July honest. The action is finished. The time is specific. Example: the House of Representatives passed the bill yesterday. The action is finished. The time is specific. We use the present perfect, which is have, has plus the past participle, to talk about past actions that have a clear result or connection to the present moment. The exact time is not as important as the present result. Example from our story: President Trump has achieved a major political victory. The victory happened over the last few days, and the result is his powerful position right now. Example: the bill has passed Congress. The action is finished, but the result is the current situation. The bill is now ready to be signed. Mastering this difference will make your English much more precise. Our second grammar point is using be going to for plans and for predictions based on evidence. We use be going to talk about a plan that has already been decided. Example: the president is going to sign the bill at 5 o'clock this afternoon. This is a confirmed plan. We also use it to make a prediction about the future when there is clear evidence in the present. Example: analysts say the law is going to increase the national debt. The evidence is the content of the bill itself. Example: because of the spending cuts, some programs are going to face difficulties. This prediction is based on the evidence of the cuts. Be going to is a fantastic and common way to talk about the future with a degree of certainty. To finish our lesson today, I want to share one last inspirational story about another huge controversial piece of American legislation whose true impact was only understood many years later. This is the story of the G.I. Bill. After World War II ended in 1945, more than 16 million American soldiers, known as GIs, returned home. The nation was joyous, but also deeply worried. A common fear was that with millions of men suddenly looking for work, the country would fall back into a severe economic depression like the one in the 1930s. In response, the U.S. government passed a landmark law called the Servicemen's Readjustment Act of 1944, now famously known as the GI Bill. This was an enormous government spending program designed to help the returning veterans adjust to civilian life. The bill had several key provisions. The most famous were the educational benefits. It offered to pay for college or vocational school tuition for any veteran who wanted to study. It also provided a small living stipend while they were in school. Another key provision was low interest, government-guaranteed loans that made it easier for veterans to buy a home or start a business. At the time, the bill was not without its critics. Some worried that it was far too expensive and would add to the national debt. Others argued that the nation's universities would be flooded with students who weren't serious, lowering academic standards. They feared its consequences. But the long-term results of the GI Bill were more positive and transformative than anyone could have possibly imagined. Millions of veterans, many from working-class families who never would have had the chance, went to college. This created the best-educated workforce in American history, fueling decades of scientific innovation, technological advancement, and economic prosperity. The low-interest loans created a housing boom, leading to the growth of the American suburbs and a massive expansion of the middle class. The GI Bill is now widely seen as one of the most successful and beneficial pieces of legislation ever passed in the United States. It's a powerful reminder that the true consequences of a big, beautiful bill are often not what the debaters expect, and can take generations to fully appreciate. We have been on an incredible journey today, witnessing a historic moment. Let's summarize what we have learned. First, we followed the entire story of the One Big Beautiful Bill, from the political feuds it created to its final dramatic passage through Congress on the eve of July 4th. Second, we learned 10 essential vocabulary words for discussing politics and lawmaking, including legislation, provision, tiebreaker, and lobby. Third, we mastered 2 key grammar points, distinguishing between the simple past and the present perfect, and using be going to for plans and evidence-based predictions. The story of this bill is now moving from the halls of Congress to the lives of ordinary people. Its real-world impact is about to begin. But now, you have the language, the context, and the knowledge to follow that story as it continues to unfold. Thank you so much for your focus and for joining me on this historic day at Grow English Mastery. Learning about these events as they happen is one of the best ways to make your English skills powerful and relevant. Please let us know in the comments what you think about this new law. And please, don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe to our channel for more lessons that make sense of our world. Keep learning. Stay curious, and I look forward to seeing you in our next lesson. Goodbye for now.